Let's kick this off. This is a talk I've done called the interface usability, adding to effervescence, you know, the little bubbles around the thing. I think we care about UI a lot more now, especially since Apple got involved and really took it to another level. And I think everyone's been pretty inspired and the whole industry is doing a lot better. I believe I've put down here a whole lot of things that I've come across over the years. You'll see that it basically comes down to that I believe that you want users to want to experiment without being intimidated. It's very important to have reversible actions so that if they screw it up, it's easy to undo. Thankfully, most of the stuff you inherit has some of this stuff built on Windows. I think most good UIs don't have dialogues, and I think it's very important that UIs remember things. All right, so that's what it comes down to. Here is my agenda. I will go through general usability practices. I then will go through just a section just focusing on Windows apps, special stuff there. I want to talk then in general about pop-ups and message boxes and other things. It's a pretty big topic. Then I want to just talk about controls that you can use, Windows and web. Talk about reporting, web, mobile, and a couple of controversial items. So here's the overarching principle. Encourage experimentation. Have reversible actions. One of the things that Coatsy has mentioned to me, and I think I concur with that, is previewed actions. When you hover over something and it kind of shows you. That really helps. When you'll see in Word, you have the styles. When you hover over them, your style changes. When you have a table and you hover over one of the table formats, you see what it looks like before you've even clicked it. It can be a bit disconcerting first time you've seen it, but I think it's been seen as fairly successful. Dialogues and tracking user preferences. So I'll ask you guys before I kick off in detail, but what do you consider a good UI to be? Just tell me some key things that a good UI has. Intuitive. Good UI is intuitive. You just know what to do. Consistent. Consistent. Who said that? Who's responsive. Responsive. And if it's not responsive, it appears responsive. Okay? So if you click something, at least something starts spinning, or a button becomes disabled, or a progress bar starts, or the form loads but no data, stuff like that. It appears that things are going on.
Similar to intuitive, but gives you expected results, so it does...
Expected results. What do you mean? What are you thinking of?
Intuitive is, it does it.
Does what you expect? Is that the same thing?
The same thing.
Yes, probably is. All right, next.
It's not cluttered.
Not cluttered, yes. Now, I'd definitely love to explore that one because not cluttered is nice and clean, but good UIs sometimes are cluttered. Coatsy, give us an example.
Oh, stock traders, I reckon, is one. If you ever look at what guys are doing on the trading floor, and they've got 3 screens in front of them, all full of amazing amounts of data, and they're completely happy with it. They're completely okay with it.
Yeah.
Another interesting UI, which is not a graphical UI, but it's very complicated, is the stick in a fighter aircraft. There's 5 or 6 or 7 different buttons on it, all of which do different things, most of which will kill somebody. Sometimes you. You don't want to get that wrong, but they're really happy with it. It's the most efficient way that they can fly that plane and do all the things it needs to do. So, sometimes the UI can be cluttered but still be really effective.
Both those examples you gave require a lot of training. They don't have a very good first experience.
Yeah, they're not first experience
at
all.
But it is worth considering. You don't only have to have non-cluttered UI, although generally what we're talking about is we want to have a good first experience, and then it's fairly clean and it gets with more detail. So next, you're going to get me onto the wireless here, are you? So before you do that, let me just check what my ping times are so I know that it gets better. Oh, oops. I'm just switching wirelesses. Hang on one sec. So disconnect. I'll connect onto Cricket. Is that right?
Yep. New password.
Is it a new password?
Mark, whose computer's that?
Mark's.
Oh, then it'll connect.
Thank you. Yes, my ping times have gone from 166 to 4.
Thanks, Dara.
4 and 3. Thank you, Dara.
Give him a round of applause.
I don't know what he did. It was working before. All right.
He undid his mess.
All right. All right. Tell me a couple of other things. Do you notice, by the way, before I switched, I always measure. So as soon as we make any change ever, for any reason, we always measure. So we just put in another couple of gigs of RAM in the CRM server. Poor Maimon had to have a tiny little test that measured a couple of things, put the RAM in, put it in, and I think it loaded faster, right?
Incremental change,
Huh?
Incremental change.
Yes, that's right.
7 seconds down to under 1.
Yes. So if my wife ever wants any changes from me, I have to measure my current performance. All right. Okay, I didn't realise that was dirty. Anyway. All right. So, next. Next. What other things?
Visually pleasing.
Huh?
Visually pleasing.
Visually pleasing. Yeah, like professionally designed and stuff. Yeah, gone to those extra levels. Yeah. Visually attractive. Sexy. All right. Yes. Okay, good. Anything else?
Yeah, I think it has to be readable, for people who are actually going to look at it.
So readable, isn't that come down to intuitive?
No, you actually have to be able to see what's on the screen without peering at it.
Oh, large fonts.
Well, reasonable size fonts.
Yes, all right.
Not everybody's 20.
Usable.
Right. So,
How about customizable?
Accessible, I suppose. Yeah, so yes, for some people.
Yeah, people should customize.
Readable.
okay.
I want to come back to my intuitive and expected one. Because
Flog's a dead horse and going.
intuitive is the user knowing, oh, I should click that.
Yes.
And I had that on Google+. I went to send a message to someone. I went to send a message, and it came up with a crazy box when I went to send them a message saying, also send to these 2 other people. And I unchecked that box and hit OK. But I didn't realise it was also sending the message to everybody in 2 of my circles. So it was intuitive. I knew what I was supposed to do, but it didn't behave as I expected it to behave.
I would say that's not intuitive, actually. That's what I would say. If you're sending a message to more people than you expect, I wouldn't consider that's intuitive. There's no way I'd say that's intuitive, but not giving me expected results.
Okay.
But you are from Brisbane, I acknowledge. Okay. Next. Any others? All right, that finished those suggestions. All right.
There's a whole lot of like readable for oldies, just under accessibility. You know, and some people have problems with their fingers. So,
Right.
You know what I mean? Some people have problems with
I
their
understand.
ears.
I am going to change that one because I am going to change that one to customizable because that's kind of how I think about it. Customizable. CRM is a great example. You can go in and customize it. If you want your view to be in a different way, you can change it nice and easily. SharePoint, fairly customizable. Windows, customizable to the way you want it. You could say to a degree an iPhone and iPad is customizable in that you can move icons around and things like that. You can go into settings, change things around, So, any others? All right.
Say on clarity of what it's actually going to do. Intuitive, I would think of as, you're doing this, maybe you'd like to do this as well. That sort of suggesting there. But then there's the clarity of he's sent it out to however many people. It obviously wasn't clear that what he was clicking was going to do that. So there's clarity is separate to intuitive.
Yep. Yep. Possibly putting less information, more dialogues as you go, like the wizard type approach is sometimes an approach taken there. So I'll go back and I'll just, I will also add one more thing, and I'd say modern. And as an example, I'll mention Metro. Metro, we just saw an example of it. This is Metro with, you know, these capital words here. This mainly black, mainly. I'll just go to home. You'll see that's Metro. And while I'm at it, I'll just go into timepro.ssw. See if we can jump in there. That is I haven't used this computer before on this site, but this is an example. So this is our timesheeting app, and it's Metro-y. And I think, you know, just you'll see all the squares, you'll see the general columns. I'll just try to add a timesheet or something. But that style makes it seem modernish. One sec, let me just pull this timesheet form up, but you'll see it's got the large fonts, got the capitals in the right spots. Long forms seem to be okay. Here we go, and you'll see, you know, this is the style typically. Okay, so that style of stuff. So, all right, so you know, consider that. So I'll just tell you a couple of things that I consider important. A good UI works the way you expect, and here is an example. We have a rental place. We have a place where everybody was trying to pull open the door and they'd break the locks. You actually have to push it. So for me to fix the problem, I had to put big signs that say push. Okay, very unintuitive when you've got to do that. There's something wrong with the way the doors are done. In this case, if you're pulling instead of pushing, there's something wrong. I don't think that an answer is read RTFM. Read the bloody manual. I don't think that is an answer. It's not working the way they expect. Here is a good one, tip from Coatsy. Design Everyday Things is a book about, well, Coatsy, do you want to tell us?
It's a great book by a guy named Donald Norman who wrote about user interface, but not on computers, just user interface in everyday life. And one of the examples he talks about is walking through a door that either needs to be pushed or pulled. And often doors look the same on both sides. They have a handle and a plate. You've got no idea whether you're supposed to push or pull them. So he said you should put a plate on the side you need to push and a handle on the side you need to pull. But the plate should be only on the side you need to push on. It shouldn't go right across the door. Those kind of things that just give people the hints about what to do instinctively are really important. And he talks about some great examples in this book, and I love the picture on the front of the book of the teapot. With the spout on the same side as the handle. There are some stupid things that go on in the world, and he's sort of railing against them. It's got some really good ideas about how to think about basically user-centric design.
All right.
Really good book. Highly recommend it. It's about 20 years old now, but it's still a staple for anyone doing any sort of UX. Okay,
so good UI for me is intuitive. It feels fast. No white screens. That's why I love, you know, jQuery and Ajax and stuff. Important Windows forms to have threading code, so it pops up quick, and you know, one of the reasons that people don't like Ajax is because when you press submit or whatever, the white screen doesn't come up for 10 seconds. At least you've got other things to read while the bottom grid is refreshing or something. There's other things to potentially do. Consistent, I'm a big fan of that, and no clutter, not busy. Other things, minimal modal pop-ups. Okay, do whatever you can to get rid of them all. Good error handling. It's interesting that Apple took the approach of just have the app disappear. Okay, it's certainly one way to deal with the problem. I've always thought that was. Yeah, I've always thought that the best way of error handling, you know, completely unexpected error, is to at least give them a chance to put their email address in so that they're notified when that specific exception has been resolved. Easy to customize, which I've just talked about. And these days, a site or an app that you do should be a platform. You should be able to put apps on top of it, okay? And I think we've seen that with most of the modern software that's coming out. And the ones that, you know, obviously I'd say that's a major reason for the success of Facebook and obviously Twitter. What is Twitter? A text box and, you know, an API essentially. That's it. It's amazing. Gamification. And this is one that I especially am trying to spend a bit of effort on at SSW. Even in our internal things, I am planning on Foursquare was the quintessential example of putting badges in and everyone's collecting these ridiculous badges for no apparent reason. What was that game by, is it Zanga? Farmville. Farmville baffles me, my kids, and how they want to play that all the time and make their gardens grow and ask me for credits so that it'll grow faster. And, you know, that's okay because they're only 6 and 8, but when there's guys at our office that pay real money for it, for something that's intangible, I don't get it, you know. But like if I did that, I have a Greek wife at home, that'd be the end of it. So, yeah, that's right. It's bizarre, but that's gamification, very successful. So here is some more gamification. As you can see, if you go into MSDN, you can see that these guys are accumulating more and more points. How many people have heard of John Skeet? So, all right. A few of you. John Skeet, #1 poster on Stack Overflow. That guy has contributed so much value to Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow would not be as popular as it is today without that one guy and, you know, the 20 beneath him. He contributes so much time to answering everyone's questions of high value. He's never been paid a brass razoo. And you want to know why he keeps working so hard? Not that I know him, but he keeps working so hard. Why? He doesn't want to be #2. I don't think he's after money, Maimit. No, he's after glory. He wants to be #1.
Yeah, but it says something about the person's personality.
Well, I don't care. I don't think that Stack Overflow care if he's got a good or bad personality, if he's adding that much value to their site. And why do they get people like him? Because they did a good gamification system. Pretty awesome gamification system. So where he just accumulates points, keeps answering, make sure he's still that #1. All right, so yeah. How many points have you got, Coatsy?
On MSDN?
Yep.
27,000.
27,000, see? It's just like a kid with no personality, Maimit. Yeah.
And he knows exactly how many points he's got.
Right, so Stack Overflow, yeah, that's another good way.
I
Yeah.
actually didn't say he had no personality. That's not, I didn't say that.
And what did you say?
I said it says something about the personality of the person. Like, yeah, what they're driven by, motivations, that sort of stuff.
OCDC? All right. All right. So, yeah, so there's more of this. So, and we have something coming up with Visual Studio where all of a sudden we're going to get a lot of points. We're going to be encouraged to do a shell. We're going to be encouraged to run a build. We're going to be encouraged to run code analysis, code metrics. Every time we do it, we'll get a couple more points. We may as well keep doing it, use more of Visual Studio. This might be seen as very successful. It hasn't been released, but you can hear about what's going to happen. All right? Good UI, nice and simple. That's what I consider a good UI. So, here is another UI. This is a UI. You know, guys typically aren't very accurate, but if they've got a purpose, they want to get this thing off, then they're very good at aiming. And it looks real. Now, this is a toilet in the Netherlands. And it's actually, these toilets are manufactured with fly sitting there. It's very successful. There's no piss around the bowl. It's right on target. It never comes off.
A couple in here too.
Huh?
A couple in Sydney.
Are there? Really? Where are they? I've got to test them out.
It's gamification as well.
Yeah, well, that's what you need. You need points. You need need to get some points, Casey. When you do this, you get a couple of MSDN points or something. All right. So
how would you keep track of the points? Would you have a camera in there? You shoot that stuff or what?
You're a shocker. All right. So this is when most people say, what is a good UI? Most people will think of this thing. It had a bit of a halo for a while, but I think most UIs have caught up. I, interestingly, watched this very closely, and I just flew up to Brisbane for, what is it, DDD, and I sat next to a non-techie person with a Windows Phone 7. Yeah. Were you with me? No. Raj was with me, weren't you? Yeah, this non-techie guy. And I said, oh, so why did you get this phone? He goes, well, all my friends have iPhones and Androids. I wanted something different. And it's really cool. He was super happy with it. Just loved it. So, you know, there's lots of different good UIs. All right. Anyway, that was the introduction. All right. We spent a bit of time on that. All right. So let's jump into the actual practices now, the specific things. All right. General usability things. The simplest thing you can do is have someone come over to your machine and start testing out your software without you telling them what to do. So can you go in here, place an order for 10 baskets and see how they do it. See if they can achieve that goal. I do it with my clients all the time where I say, all right, just tell me what a typical customer is going to do. And then I go to do it and they say, no, what you have, I said, just give me a chance. Let me see if I can work it out myself. They can't do it without speaking to you. You've got to tell them, like probably at least a dozen times, just shut up, let me just get through this thing and tell you all the things that are surprising me where I'm looking. So that's the easiest thing to do. And you'll get heaps from that. All right? This type of thing, whenever you're giving instructions, something's wrong. If you're putting an instruction here, which said in this toilet, I have a fascination with toilets, obviously. I just realised that. This said, this is a mop sink. Well, if they need to say that, there's something wrong. Obviously, someone was using this for the wrong purposes. This is another thing that I find interesting. When you see this dial like this, what's the first thing someone does when it's boiling hot? They go in and what do? They turn it to the bottom, all the way down. It doesn't increase how quickly it's going to get there, but they have that feeling that it does. So this is another way of just saying, all right, so I want it at 20 degrees. Bang, 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 and now you're at 20. That has more of an intuitive feel to get to where you wouldn't typically put that all the way down to 0. Okay, but, you know, that's, any comments?
Intuitive would be how much colder do you want it, how much hotter do you
Right.
want
Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what this does. I think there's...
Both of them kind of do it.
Say again?
Both of them kind of do it.
Yep.
They don't specifically do it. So it should be just plus 1, minus 1.
My main point on this is most people have the feeling if they rev it all the way down or all the way up, it's going to happen faster.
Yeah, next we might cool the room faster.
It might cool the room faster. How?
The way it actually works, because actually we'll set the chillers going on really cold, and you've got to try and cool the whole room. So yeah, it will. It'll send out really cold air. So if you really need that.
Are you an air conditioning expert?
No, I've had to run projects on large buildings. So
Really?
Yeah, I ended up learning all of this stuff.
So if you put it all the way down, more cold air conditioners...
It'll wind up your chiller. Your chiller's on the top of the roof, and it cools the pipes that come down to all where your
right.
is. And yeah, it'll send out super cold air. It's
Right.
good. So
At-
most of the thermostats are rubbish anyway.
Right.
Just put one and it'll turn in.
Right.
Just
Okay.
About 21.4.
All right. Adam, take note. Delete the slide. All right. Okay.
That's the wrong person.
So here is another one. I always found this amazing that nobody that I ever came across knew how to use styles unless I taught them. And I think this, you know, these bigger buttons, these ribbons, encourage them more. Who concurs with me on that? Who doesn't concur with me? All right, Coatsy?
I still don't think people use styles properly. I'm not sure that it's starting to make a big difference.
Really?
I've got to beat into my children still.
Right.
And he means beat.
Why don't you
No,
think?
I mean children. I mean mine.
One of those two is probably just save. I was working with my 7-year-old daughter the other day, and she was using this version of the latest version of Office, and I said, click on the disk in the corner to save it. So she clicks on the round thing. And I said, no, not the round thing, the square thing next to it. She just looked at it. That's what it is.
Unless it's a 3.5, unless it's a 3.5 inch floppy.
It should have changed. It should have changed. How long since we've used floppy disks?
Interesting.
It's an interesting question though, right? Because that's always been the save icon.
Yeah.
And should icons that have always been like that change as technology can?
Well, it's not intuitive, is it?
Well, it is for us because we know what it is.
Yeah,
That's
but
right, she's concerned. That's something her grandmother
I
can
know.
step off.
Should have really get a typewriter instead of a printer.
this is where the kids actually got to find an older person.
Yes.
How we maintain relevance.
So you don't concur that that's increased the use of styles?
Well, no, I just find that bottom one, I found it totally confusing, but mostly because whenever I use this software, I'm in a hurry and I've got to search around for all this stuff, and I just get annoyed.
Right.
I never use styles to start with, I guess. So,
Okay.
That just doesn't.
Fair enough.
I have to say, I only started using styles when I changed to the real version.
Oh, really?
I didn't know it was something you could do. I mean, it might just be that I was using the program more, but having it very visual there, it made it more apparent that you can have that functionality.
Right. Hey, Coatsy, I'd love you to do a Google to see if the ribbon has increased the use of styles, because I would reckon it has, just from my feel. Yeah. All right. Next one. Do you make sure less is more? Make sure that the importance of defaults are next. Make sure you hide advanced options, but they're easy to find. If you hide lots of the advanced things, it just feels less to read, easier to navigate. That is good UI. Yep, that's a real UI, by the way. And that is another real UI. That is how to put all the options together. And I had worked with another programmer who didn't want to remove any of these options because you need them all and didn't want to hide them away. Even apples can do things wrong. It's hard to believe, but it is possible. Okay. So next thing is, do you know how people scan, not read? So Tim, you're late for a flight, you need to check in. Okay? And this is a real screenshot I took. Okay, Tim, how do I check in? This is Continental. I need to check in right now. You are running late for the airplane. Print boarding pass, right? What do you want me to do? I don't have a confirmation number. Tim, come on, hurry up. You're getting stressed. This is Continental. You can check in. All right. No, you click this more check-in options, okay? All right. Now, this is Delta. How do you do it, Tim? Click check-in. All right. So that's kind of the importance of this, okay? So that type of scenario type thing would kind of sort this out. This is another way to group options in groups. So rather than just give a big list, if you can cut them into areas, most people will find it easier to use. That's called an affordance. Next one I'll tell you is about storyboarding. And it's just a general rule. You can come in here and I will just search on SSW storyboarding. And I'll just fire up one of these rules here about storyboarding. But this storyboarding has come from the movie industry where they have scripts and they have these storyboards that show how this is going to work. There's going to be a boat. There's going to be, he gets off this pier, walks over here through a jungle. So when they go ahead to do it, he knows what he's meant to do. All right, I've got to hire a boat. I've got to hire an area that has a pier. and get all this stuff together. It knows what uniforms to get, etc. So that turns into either a handwritten one or a wireframe. I will tell you that in terms of what you've got wireframes, you've got HTML mockups, you've got lots of choices here of what to do next. My favourite is to do balsamic. The other choice that you will have very soon with Visual Studio 2012 is you will have a beautiful storyboarding tool in there, and that's inside PowerPoint. The important thing that I like doing is putting little notes here as they come up and putting the notes down the bottom. I think this is very important visually. If you spend this time before writing code, you'll have less code and you'll have neater code because you won't be trying to add all this code and then remove it when the customer doesn't want certain things. Okay, so that's just an example. Most of the mock-ups we end up doing is at least one Photoshop mock-up, so at least it has the style there, and then the rest is done either paper, balsamic, or TFS 2012. Next one. What's wrong with this? I'll tell you the first thing wrong with it. It's not in FoxPro, is it?
That's the problem.
So the first thing is there's no search box. And I think that's pretty important. As an example, I would say this is a better example. And you've got two ways of searching. You can just search any word, or you can search a specific ID. Okay? I'm not sure if that's a good idea to put them in different spots, but that is pretty important in every single UI. Really important.
Doesn't it depend on how well you've got your search going?
Yeah, but that's...
Often it'll bring up pages of rows.
It is very important. I will talk to you about that because I've been through this. We've typically set up this style with SQL Server full text indexing. We don't do that anymore. We use Lucene all the way. It is miles better, and I strongly recommend it. It is really good. We've had a lot of success with it, and we've had no failures. Lucene. So I'll just find it for you. lucene.net. There you go. Is that the one? Yep, that's the one. It is amazing. We've run this on huge sites, and I can tell you, it just gives nicer results, and they're faster. Significantly better than SQL Server's full text search. Anyway, that's search. All right, live tiles. This is what I would consider probably even a better way and more modern today. So we've gone from these horrible portals to more useful information to this style. Okay. So this has the tiles, and it has bits of information on them. Next one I might tell you is optical alignment. So a lot of people will try to align up exactly like that. I like to get them to consider other ways. So see this? See how this is actually off, but it looks like it's better aligned in my mind. So it's not always just a line left. You've got to think about what you got there. And an example I'll give you for that. So, and there's another way of looking at it with that line down there. I will say that looks better than that. This is one that I saw, customer in Melbourne. This was the alignment. Everything was lined down the left here. And so I got that changed. And here is the style now. So it's all lined up down here. And the way that you needed to do that in this case, see this box? These group boxes generally, if you noticed Office 2007, I think, was when all the boxes were removed in Office, and they replaced those with lines above. If you go in Tools Options, you'll see there are lines above. Do you believe me? Let me just see if I can prove that to you. Oh, what? So I'll just... see the boxes went away. Now in this case you got shaded lines here, but all the boxes have gone and you just got the headings. All right. So that's that style. So how do you achieve that in Visual Studio? How do you achieve it in Visual Studio? What do you mean?
Well, the group boxes are one of the
Right.
a native control, so to speak.
Well, what about using third-party controls? So I reckon, just on the third-party controls, I reckon we get a lot of kudos with clients saying, hey, that UI is awesome. And when I ask them why, they point to a lot of things that we didn't do. It's all, the Telerik guys did. Typically, that's the control set we use. And I know that I would recommend you using one of the third-party, Infragistics, Telerik, or DevExpress. We've used them all, and they're just better than the other box stuff. Yeah, they're pretty good. So anyway, that's that alignment. Okay. All right. Now be aware that these affordances, if you put some of your things next to others, you will see this, and it can be, it can be bad. Like you got the Yahoo 404. Be aware of what things are sitting next to each other. All right. So the iSlate.
I just got the carrot one.
It's a bit slower. So small things to miss. Okay, so the iSlate, I will put it to you that probably the iPad was going to be called the iSlate, and who knows why they didn't call it, but you can see they own the domain name, iSlate, and the reasons is the other ways it can be read, islate, etc. Okay, so it's just an example. All right, let's look at other ways of cleaning up stuff. This is a grid of a whole lot of data, and you can see this is one way of looking at this table. How do you clean this up to be much nicer? You can look at that and say, look, this is hard. Try to put all the information over here, or move bits of the information into the table and it'll end up a lot cleaner. Okay? So that's just another way that you can go ahead and clean that up. Less is more, obviously. All right? So you can go from that to that. All right, next thing to talk about, and I'd love your opinion on this one, columns or text. So you can put, columns going down, or you can use text, which is easier, nicer to read. So you can do it like this, or that exact same data like this. I have a question for you. If you're trying to read, find out, I don't know, Matt Damon and which one he's in, etc. Who prefers Excel? 2, 4. Who prefers Word? 1. The rest of you don't care. All right, that's okay. I will tell you that you can, structure this in a way. You could use bullets for all this data, but I think data generally should be aligned in some way. I'm not saying to use Excel. I'm just saying be aware of the differences of how that data looks and how readable it is. Yes?
Maybe depend on how you're going to use it.
Yeah, but all right.
I like the table at the top, but I'm used to it.
But everybody does. I don't think you're much different. One of the things I find extremely frustrating is when you are reading a proposal from a company and there's a lot of pages in it, and you are trying to extract which is the custom stuff, which is the non-template stuff. I find that very frustrating when it's barely understandable, your stuff versus their stuff, their template stuff. And it's similar to here. I think that data generally should be easier to say. So I'm saying structure this in a way that looks more like that in Word. Okay, unless you just want something to look pretty. Anyone have any comments? No? All right, moving along. Make the home page a portal. I've already kind of talked about this. Rather than do it like this, do it like this. Okay, or use the Metro thing. Okay, you'll even see Windows apps kind of do it like that, and they'll try to put as much information as they can on the front portal. Okay, you'll see the Visual Studio doing the same thing. Next one I want to mention, and I'm surprised this doesn't happen more because I rarely see it happen. Developers don't log what users are using. And I think that this information should be tracked. And I really even think that when you get a new service pack of Visual Studio, buttons move. Buttons that nobody clicks is taken away, and buttons where everyone's going tools, options, this, down the 4th level, and they do that a lot more, should appear on the toolbar. So the only way of doing that is recording everything. And this is one way one of the guys was recording it. He was recording it and showing the customer all the different pieces that were being used in the app the most. So it gave them some information. Another way of using this is Redgate have a tool called Smart Assembly. And you put this in your app, it records everything, and it will tell you which features are being used. So it's pretty interesting. I think this is kind of the way to go. Any comments?
It's a bit of a nightmare.
Why?
What they call individualise.
Why is it a nightmare?
They're all doing it. I mean, you look at the Amazon's probably the favourite example.
I'm not saying individualise. I'm saying change the core product based on the usage.
So actually positioning of things on the page.
That's right. So what if...
Is the user going to come back to the same place to look at the same thing?
So hold on, let me just tell you something, see if we're talking the same thing. One of the first things I always do when I have Word is I come in here, because I use strike through a lot. I come in here and I come down here. I go all commands, I go down to T, and then I go up. Yep. Where is it? Strike. There he is. And I go OK. And now I can click this. OK? Now what if lots of users do that? Then it should be able to pick this type of stuff up. And if that's the most common and no one's ever clicked redo, take it away. That's what I'm saying. So does that make it clear what I'm talking about? Because I don't think individualise can...
That is individualising, yeah. And it does become a bit of a nightmare because the user actually will return looking for things in the same place. And then you probably need to get a separate bar that just had your individualise buttons.
Ah, right. Well, that's what that top bit is, isn't it, essentially?
Well, yeah, you could, but a lot of people don't use it.
Okay. So, include extra information if it gives you context. Had a few arguments over this, so I might put it to you. I put in, say, Link Auditor. Link Auditor scans for broken links, and it does lots of other things. I got this added, even though it's disabled, even though it doesn't do anything, just so it's very clear to everyone, it does that, you can't turn it off, because it gives context. Okay, lots of people thought that's ridiculous. You can't turn it on or off. It's got nothing to do with what we're... Of course the pro checks broken links. Well, let's ask the rest. Anyone disagree? Okay. This is another example. When you look in here, you can press OK, but we put the image there to show where this is about to go. It gives it a little bit of context what this form is about. Straight away, you can hover over here, the image will pop bigger, and you can see what it's about. Anyone disagree? No. All right. So, a good app should allow you to experiment by giving you options to undo, remembering your last state, and giving you a live preview. What's the live preview, Adam?
It shows you what's going to happen when you click finish.
Yep. Good. All right, so there is an example of a live preview. You've got a table there. You hover over here. You'll see it before doing it. Anyone not like live preview? Okay, good. This concept is not used very often. The concept of drafts. When you're half drafting emails, you've got drafts there. If it crashes, you've got your drafts there. If you use Gmail, you've got your drafts there. It works very nicely. When you use a customer application, you half get through forms, they're never saved in drafts in an uncompleted state that you can come back and finish. I always think that's a bit of a shame. All right, finally, I'm going to tell you a couple of big ones I'd love. I hope Microsoft's listening. Are you listening, Coatsy? Yep. All right. I wish every single form, web page, Lightbox had this link here, wiki, and it was unique. Every form had a GUID. When I clicked on that, I could see people talking about this. When I have an error, you know, or if there's a best practice here, Or a worse practice, I want to read it on here when I'm stuck. Like there's a number of times you click OK and it says unexpected error, or you do not have permissions, or something like that.
Who's going to provide that information in that wiki?
Well, I think the wiki should be in a couple of... It could work like Wikipedia, where sometimes they're locked down by the product team, if they're controversial, or they have the product team advice and they have the user advice underneath. That type of stuff.
The infrastructure's already there. The technical wiki now, there's a bunch of other stuff that's available from that point of view. Lots and lots of help that's got user-generated content. So the infrastructure's there. It's a really interesting idea.
I have a dream, a second dream. The second dream is every single error message has this, which essentially has information about how people have resolved this. I don't know how many times I get emails from customers with just a message box. I don't know how many times I see inside internal aliases at Microsoft, experienced MVPs saying, I got this error, can't create a team project. This is the error with all this stuff. It would be awesome that every message box had a URL. Anyway, lots more about that stuff. Let's move on to the second section, Windows applications. I believe every help menu should have 8 menu items. And you'll see this is an old one I had, where it's into little chunks here. I've added one at the top called training videos. I now believe that is really important. You shouldn't have an app that you can't get to a couple of videos about how this works very quickly and succinctly. Any questions about any of this? Happy? Anybody totally agree with that? Is it missing anything?
Yeah, I just think there's other benefits to the videos as well. I've seen a lot of companies start to do this recently when they're putting them on YouTube. So it doesn't just help the users when they've got a problem. It's also another way that people are finding your product and learning about.
That's right.
Ways to profile it.
I don't get it. I have a series of customers that will not put their videos on YouTube, won't even put them on their site. You have to purchase the product before you're allowed to see how it works. The answer I get, we don't want our competitors to know. I don't get it.
The competitors aren't going to like it.
A good example of that is like some of the enterprise vendors will not even let you see product support, knowledge base, any help-related information unless you have a valid subscription.
Bizarre.
And the reason for that is one, the first one you mentioned, and two, they want to sell their professional services.
Oh, they want to sell their professional services.
Oh, you need a consultant to do that.
Interesting. All right, so there's the help training. Dev Express do it very nicely. Impressive. The user guide, I never get these user guides that aren't online. User guides should be online and allow commenting by the community. Telerik do a good job here. Their user guide is a URL. That's what I want. First of all, you get to see stats on which help pages are used the most. Secondly, I don't know what this fascination with CHM files is anymore. It's finished. Kaput. Yeah. And there's a whole series of weird developers that get upset when it doesn't install help locally and it insists on the internet. They're usually old and about his size, Okay.
Hey, do me a favor, start up Excel.
Yep.
Press F1. Type in VLOOKUP.
VLOOKUP.
Oh, type in letters.
Yeah, what?
Okay, so in this example, right, the very first hit that it gave you is training. The second one is an article about VLOOKUP. Where is the reference for VLOOKUP that just tells me this is the parameters it takes in, here's a working example of it.
So what you want the reference to be the first value?
To be first. Now that's an article. That's not the built-in help.
This is the syntax right there.
Yeah. So click it.
That one?
It may very well be. Yeah.
There you go, moment.
For every example that it is, there's like 15 others that it isn't.
So it's number 3.
Sorry? No, but that's one example.
But you want it always to be number 1. You want that one to...
Help should always be first.
SQL books online.
Yeah, beautiful. SQL books online is an example of done right.
What do you want me to look up?
Roller.
Okay. Where the hell is it? Where's this? Here.
Yeah, just look up roller. There you go.
So you want the second one?
Yep, there you go.
Right. And where's the community?
Sorry?
Where's the community?
It's books online. I'm not concerned about the community.
Well,
What's at the bottom of that one? So, if you go to some Visual Studio help, and look up a C# command or something, or an operator, look up the if operator.
you want me to look it up?
Go to library.msdn.com.
So what do you want me to do?
Just go to the MSDN library.
You're going to smash that.
What, online?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Okay.
Look up, I don't know, if C#.
Yep.
So click on any one of those, I don't know which one. The C# reference, absolutely.
This one?
Yeah.
I think you want it. Yep.
Now, right down the bottom, yes, it doesn't actually happen to be any community content in this one, but see, you can add community content here.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about.
That's right. So the reference itself is at the top, and
Yep.
then there's additional community content at the bottom.
That's how books online should work.
Sometimes it points to Stack Overflow, sometimes it points to the forums, sometimes it points at blogs, whatever. But it's very, very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the point I was making is a lot of the times in the Office apps is some of that community content
Service is too high.
takes priority over the built-in help. You should never do that.
And you know, another annoying thing about this is if I find this particular thing, I can't give this link to someone. That's kind of annoying. But I could. I can't give that a link either, can I? Is there any way of giving that link, Moment? There we go. That's pretty, yeah, that is intuitive, isn't it? Let me just check that works. Oh, that's not even what I was looking at, is it? That wasn't what I was looking at, so it wasn't even the right URL. Yep, hopeless. Very annoying. All right, thank you, Margaret. All right, let's moving along. So, as I said, I think it's easy to keep up to date. You get stats on who's using it and allows communities to comment. All right. I think this is kind of important. I always believe in a global area, like a tools options, that finds any invalid data in the system. Okay? And some of it's just fuzzy data. And then in the area that you're using, you have the ability just to look at the fuzzy data or the bad data for just that area. So in an example in this, you have client rates. This will find any invalid data for, in that area. Comments?
I'm not sure that I want my end users who might be entering data looking up and finding out if anyone anywhere is sending invalid data. I think it should be a system administration function.
It's something that you could obviously just tie down to the user and only see their invalid data. And if you have more permissions, you see everyone's invalid data. But it's the concept that I still think that's a valid thing. It's just security trimming now. Because I don't know how, almost every system I come across, especially when you start getting into doing any type of reporting and adding a cube, there's a mess of data in there. and they, you know, I just think as you learn more about certain things, it could be as simple as, you know, the formatting of phone numbers that you want, or that you want, you know, states to be NSW, not N.S.W. You know, that style.
Shouldn't your application be taking care of that as you're entering the data?
Yes, but don't forget your application can get data from lots of different sources. If you decide to purchase another company, import all this data in, lots of data comes in from external sources, you know.
So what's invalid data? That's the question.
That's right, but that is as you go. And the way we do it is any proc put in the system called proc validate, it runs, and if any of those procs return a value, it's invalid. So you've got to get all the procs down to 0. That's kind of how it looks. And this would find those procs in that area. Agree, disagree? All right. Instructional help. Don't give lots of descriptive information. Give them on what they need, on how to use it. So I don't like seeing instructions at the top that says, this page allows you to define a search. It's better to say, to start a search, choose an option on the left. At least you tell them what to do rather than what it does. Okay. All right, anyway, I've got probably 100 more Windows Forms one if you want to check them out. Pop-ups and message boxes. Who likes pop-ups? One. Who hates them? Who's okay with them? It doesn't matter either way.
Who loves them and hates them?
Who loves to hate them?
Sometimes it obscures what else you want to have a look at.
Okay.
And you sort of going,
So I'll ask the question again because I'm really curious as to those answers. Who really dislikes modal pop-ups? 2, 4, 6. Yeah. And who's fine with them? 6 versus 2. Okay. So, interesting. All right. So, let's talk about these pop-ups. This is an example of a pop-up. One of the most annoying pop-ups in history. The most amazing thing about it, it's telling you about, it's hiding pop-ups. So, that's pretty freaking amazing. But these type of things are really annoying. So even Apple got bitten by this, and this was the most requested, most painful thing. I'm watching a YouTube video and a bloody reminder fires, or SMS comes in, my video stops. So Android never had that problem. It always put the alerts at the top. How did Apple solve this?
They copied Android.
They copied Android. I thought they don't copy people. Huh?
Windows Phone 7 before.
No, Android was before. Yeah. Have you been talking to Coatsy? Yeah, Microsoft didn't invent everything.
My work here is done.
Yeah, so Apple fixed this in iOS 5, right? Yeah. So this is, I'll just give you this as an example. This is a form saving an email to SharePoint. Talked to this team and they did not want to get rid of this because it was an error. You couldn't get there. It couldn't connect. I must tell the user about it. And I said, no, you've got to get rid of pop-ups. And this is just an example of there's no error. It just says you must select something on the left. It's unavailable. There's no errors anymore. So avoiding message boxes. So I still think that you should use message boxes in a couple of situations. That is confirming the deletion of a record. I'm okay with that. And if you're about to kick off a long-running process. Okay, I also think that message boxes are difficult when there's a lot of text and they're giving you instructions on what to do, when to press OK, when to click cancel, when to click ignore. This is a real one. Sure, you want to click cancel, Zengo is free to install. You can easily uninstall, click OK to cancel. Which one do I do?
I love that it says you're good to go.
This is bloody annoying. I was too frightened to click anything. I just didn't want that thing. Yeah, it's, and by the way, don't use question marks there. All right, so I think they didn't want you to. Anyway, This is a better one from Microsoft. Less words and not enough memory. That's all it does. This is better still. I much prefer this. Rather than the OK and cancel, tell me what you're doing. So you'll say save, don't save, cancel. Even better if that had a little cross on it and that had a tick or whatever. But yeah, that's...
Better say discard would be a better word there. That's what you're doing, you're chucking it away.
Discard.
Don't you reckon?
Yeah.
Save just might mean,
Yeah, to me that needs to have the little red icon, as a red dot and possibly a green dot there, but at least a red dot there and nothing else. Red cross. All right, pop-ups. So I've just heard that 6 of you hate pop-ups and a few of you don't care or don't mind them. Okay, modal pop-ups. Basically, most people will tell you that they're very horrible and you want to avoid as many modal forms as you can. I remember sitting down with a lot of users at different companies when we were moving them from Salesforce to CRM4. I couldn't work out why these girls were telling me that they preferred Salesforce. Now, I knew that they had been using it for a while, and now they moved to CRM4. CRM4 had a lot of pop-ups where you put ones on top. But I wasn't really looking at that. I kept looking. They say, well, it doesn't have all the things I need and stuff. And I'm looking at all the fields, and I'm mapping, trying to establish what this pattern is that I keep hearing about it doesn't have what they need. And in the end, I think I just established that the Salesforce form has a long form with everything. And the CRM4 had a lot of pop-ups. Now, CRM 2011 went to the model of no pop-ups and a nicer UI. But I was mistaken thinking that there were fields missing. It wasn't capturing everything they needed. It wasn't showing them what they needed. But it was. They just couldn't stand all the pop-ups. And with IE Windows popping up, we know IE in the first place isn't the fastest thing in the world. And with pop-up after pop-up, it was painful. So try to be aware that they're not always bad. They make things obvious. They simplify a form. They don't get lost. And you can dim the background. So here is an example in SharePoint that I like. I click table, and this comes. Is this a pop-up? Kind of. What is it called? Lightbox. Okay, so it's not actually a new window. It's just dimming the rest of the screen and putting this form here. So it's not a real pop-up, but it looks like a pop-up. And it's a nice effect. And I can put the number of columns and I can press OK. I think it should say add personally. I don't know why the OK button is, and these two buttons are so wide. Maybe they wanted to use up all the screen space. But here is another good example of a pop-up. I create a new email, it pops up. Here is adding a web part into SharePoint. You go web part, and when you click that, this comes up. You click over here. Then you have to know to look over here. You click that, and now I still can't add the web part. I've got to know to click this, and then I click that. And that's why you need to be, reasonably smart to add a web part.
It takes a while.
It does. It's not obvious. And most people are a bit freaked first time. What should this be? A lightbox, I believe. I click Insert Web Part and just give me a lightbox where I select something on the left, click that, and there's an add button there. It's all nice in the center of the page. Possibly. It's another thing. But this is a mess. And you know what they've had? They've had a mandate here to remove pop-ups. That's what I would say the backstory is. All right. So I've got lots more about pop-ups. If you want to read lots more, you can read those. Controls and forms, Windows and webs. Let's talk about this. Okay. How are we going for time? Okay. So do you know how to... Pizza? So, nope. So, do you know how to label drop-down lists? Now, I would like you to know if you agree with me, but I like all these selection type combo boxes to have all in them. As an example, see this? I like this to have that entry at the top for reporting purposes. Agree, big fella? I always think that's important. And it's one of the first things I usually change on any type of reporting system. And after I change this, after I tell them to put all there, I'll notice there's all stores, all employees, all products, I get rid of that as well. And so I move it from that to that, just all. And they go, why do you bother? Well, you are so annoying. I ask you to, and I tell them that I already asked for all and you put all stores there, that style. Why do I bother? Does it matter, Maimon? Not much. Well, I think it does matter, because when you look at a screen like this, if you see all, you know instantly there's no defaults have changed. And you know that people have changed the values here. So that's kind of why I think it's important just to use the one word, short word for all of them. I think it's important.
And it's the dry principle too, like, because you can say all products, we've got a product label, why?
Yeah.
Why specify?
Thank you. Who agrees with me? Who doesn't? Just, all right. The big fella. The old ones are the harder ones.
I can go either way. Both ways.
He can go both ways. Okay. All right.
No innuendo there.
So do you include the result of results in drop-down lists? So I often get these drop-downs changed where I add the numbers here, because I don't like choosing this when it's 0 and seeing nothing and then going for the next one and looking through. I find that important. How many people agree with me on this?
Yeah.
Okay, half. Who doesn't like it at all? No one.
Your sort orders change as well based on popularity.
Yes, so I put the most popular ones at the top. Yep. I hate things in general ordered by alphabetical. I find that useless. I don't like it generally.
And can you go back up a slide?
If you look for something in particular,
I
press the first letter up and take you straight there.
look.
Can you go back a couple of slides where you had the big list?
Well, sorry, just to answer that, Coatsy, I will tell you if I can type a few characters and it filters, it's better to have the popular ones at the top. When I look at countries, I'd prefer to see USA, Great Britain, Russia, China, Australia, whatever, however it works.
I'm trying to press B, up, and I'm Australia. And every country list is like that.
Yeah, well, you would press AUS if it allowed you to filter. So there's a problem. But when if you're giving a dodgy control, then yeah, that's right.
Go back a couple of slides where you had the big all, one more. If you look at the list, it's not sorted.
Yeah, that's not useful. If that doesn't have the dollar amounts next to it, that's not useful just to be in a random order. I'm not saying random orders, no, but that should have another column with the number of stores or their dollar sales of this year, and it's sorted by the biggest going down. But obviously, this concept doesn't work if the control is limited, because if the control is limited, then you may as well put it in alphabetical order. Yeah. But if there's only 10, you may as well descend it by something intelligent. Okay, but yeah, nice point. So what about this? If I'm looking at this combo box and I've got a lot of values in, you can see there's probably hundreds in here, and you're sorting it by that. What if they don't like the fact of what I've just said, sort it by descending of this? They want to switch it back and the control is limited. What's a way of fixing this?
Have a sort order in the drop-down box. I think the Telerik controls do it. Where you can
A sort order in the combo box?
Yeah.
And you've seen that on Telerik?
Yep.
Are you sure?
They're in their grids.
Are you sure?
The Telerik grids.
Find me one and IM it to me, because I've never seen that. No, but I'll show you what I'm about to suggest. Put this in. So you go sort by, unit in stock, sort by that, sort by alphabetical, and you do that.
That is not. That's what I was talking about.
Who likes that? Wow, that is interesting. So I got 75% of the room like it. Who doesn't like it? Just Coatsy. You want to know? I did this in Newcastle, and I probably had 60 people in that room, and probably 58 of them said they couldn't stand this. So that's a real turnaround.
Possible to put it somewhere else, Pat, widen the rim of the box or somewhere at the top of it. So that we
You
don't
could align it to the right. You could put it over to the right. Yes, you could do something like that.
The point is this is doing it within the limitations of a control.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a selection, and it's not, it's a filter.
Yeah. So a better way of doing this might be to you know, put something like that. That's a better way. But sometimes you can't always do this. If you're stuck in, say, reporting services and you can't throw things like this on, you're going to have to be inventive.
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I saw that.
Yeah, but you've got, this is a much nicer way of working. Okay, much nicer. All right. All right, use text boxes for displaying data. I'd love to know your opinion on this one. First of all, I hate text boxes that are labels. I don't like this. I'm not a fan of this style at all, where the data is just sitting there and it's not selectable. It's not, doesn't have any, you know, borders around it. This is another way. You can clearly see what's data. That's the other way. That's this way. I have a question. Who prefers this method, cleaner method? Hold on, hands up, just give me a count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Who prefers this method? 2.
So I'm going to put my hand up for this one.
Right.
But I like the other style. I'm still about a copy and paste stuff.
Right.
I want a text box with the borders hidden.
Right. You like the clean look.
Yeah, but I want to be able to copy those.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that because, and a lot of people would expect to be able to copy this as well, by the way. These days, users that use the web all the time, they just want to select stuff and copy it. So it's interesting, but I like the clean look, but I like to know where data is. And in this case, it's pretty clear. But in some forms, it's a bit of a mess, which is labels and which is data. And I find that annoying. So anyway, this is another one. I'd love to know what you guys think about validation. This is the most typical way of doing validation, where you put a little thing next to it. It's pretty nice. This is another method of doing validation, where you put a balloon pop-up. Who prefers this? A little red dot? A red asterisk? Can I get a show of hands? I just want to know how many. 2, 4. Who prefers this style? 2, 4, 6, 7. Interesting. Well, you can't. Well, you want the red and that. Who wants both? Oh. Who likes the summary at the top of all the fields? I hate that too. Right, red outline. Who prefers this way? This is how light switch does it. So who prefers this? It puts a red outline and puts a little icon there.
Well, that's
yeah.
Does it give you a tooltip or something as well?
It does. If you hover over, it'll give you a tooltip.
Yes.
At the top, you click and show all of the.
That's what I do.
I don't like the summaries at the top. And I certainly don't, well, I prefer the red box around it and the icon. It's one way of doing it. Yeah. All right. This is how we're doing it in our Metro style. That little thing there with just the box and nothing else. Okay? It's kind of nice. All right. I have a question for you guys. Who prefers this style versus this style? So radio buttons or combos? Who prefers radio buttons? 2, 4. This enabled, disabled. I need to count. Left. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Who prefers the combo? 2 prefer the combo. Almost everyone doesn't. I will tell you, both of you are wrong. This is the better way of doing it. Okay? So I prefer just a checkbox when it's enabled, disabled.
You didn't give us the choice.
No, no, I just want to see if I could trick you all. And you all fell for it. Why didn't... If a customer gives you 2 choices, you give him a 3rd choice. He's not a happy camper now. All right. So let's move on. You can't take this too far. You can't use this for male and female. You know? I didn't even realise that was funny. What's male and female got to be?
Is male.
Is male. It's got to be an option group. Okay?
Yeah, but
What?
you're going to be stuck. Actually, under the law, you're going to be stuck too.
Under the law, what law?
You can't just go.
Yeah, that's right. With when you're registering and you have to agree to terms or whatever, you can't have anything checked off basically.
You can't what?
Well, you can't have your options checked off for agreeing to terms for certain registrations.
I don't know what you're talking about. What's it?
Default to not being checked.
You can't, no, you just leave it open, and then they've got to pick one or the other.
What context are you talking?
Male, female.
Male and female.
Male and female.
Is there some law about the way you put controls on a form?
No. It's just saying you can't. It's just the options. You can't pre-select them.
Oh, you can't have
Neither male or female.
You can't have a default set to male or a default set to female. In what rule?
I think it's to agree with privacy.
It's legal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't.
Because they're not actively agreeing to it.
That's right.
Wow, I didn't know this. All right.
And you can't just give a male or female and that's
Yeah. What?
asking if both.
What's the other choices? Transsexual?
Bit of both.
Both ways?
Yeah, a bit of each.
Really, it's I don't know. There's no answer to that.
No, preferred.
But yeah,
So-
it's against the law.
I love this user group. You know, when I
You don't get this at Newcastle.
no, I didn't get this. I got worse. You know, I always was amazed when I had my little kids when they were like 1 and 3. All I'd have to say is poo poo or wee wee, and they'd laugh. It was hilarious, and it's very like this user group. You know? Big. All right. So those checkboxes I like to use in other areas as well, like checkbox email, and that's enabled. Checkbox schedule, and I'll tell you this type of stuff why I find it really useful, and when I first came across it was when we were doing Link Auditor. I had so many people get stuck on this configuring here of this password protected sites, and I say, is your site password protected? No. Why are you doing it? I don't know. I thought I have to. So we fixed it. We fixed this area just by putting a checkbox. So at first I thought that's extra checks, but anyway, that's the way we did it. We disabled the button. We had a checkbox. When you want to configure that, then you click that. 2 extra bits, but it makes it more intuitive. Okay. Here is another one. We have a details screen on SSW. I have a different postal address. So if you have a different postal address, then you check it. When you check it, it shows the other stuff. And then, basically, you can have it copy down or not, however you want to do it. But I would generally say you don't need to if you've just said it's different. Okay? Any comments on this? Who would agree with this? Because other people just always show it. Who agrees with this style? Okay, almost all. Who doesn't? Okay. Next. So just some general guidelines. One option, yes, no, then use checkboxes. Radio buttons if it's one or the other, and drop downs if it's 3+. It's kind of the way to work. A multi-select list box? Yeah. Oh, so I come to that. I'll come to multi-select, but I don't like them. Okay. Can you guess what control I do like? Yeah, check list box. Yep, that's the way to go. So here is disabling buttons. This is pretty obvious stuff, but when you press start, it goes disabled and that becomes enabled. It's very important, that type of stuff. What's wrong with this?
Can you go back one?
Yes.
Can I click the power button at the top with it, close the window?
You're a goose. All right. That's our graphic designer. All right. So, guys, what's wrong with this form? I see these type of forms all the time, and I change them all the time. What's wrong with this form? It's just a notes form. Sorry, it's not bigger.
It's not how you save it.
It's not bigger, that's the problem.
It's not bigger. Every time I see a text box like this, I change it. It's got to be rich text box, first thing. So make sure that you switch those to multi-select list box, bold, bullet points, and here is, we'll just click this, and I'll give it a go. This one is in Silverlight, and boy, this is what we got to do. Wait, I don't remember that happening with MVC and jQuery.
I think you can copy and paste it using this one.
Oh, can you? No, well, you're going to make me excited. Okay, where is my rich text box? There we go. And it's loading. There's a lot of effort put on all these progress bars. We're almost there.
Hey, Silverlight's awesome. We should do that.
There we go. So here is, and this one even has an image in it. So I could just get rid of all this, which I might do.
Control A. Try Control A.
All right, Control A. Delete. Done. So I will come back here. We'll just see how good this is. I'll just copy all that.
No, you snag it.
No, I just want to paste my text. There, it kept all that. Didn't give me an underline there. But yeah, it's given me my bullet points. So let's see how good this is really. And has this guy got Snagit on his machine?
Yeah.
He does? So,
Press the big screen and find out soon enough.
not yet. So let's, I will capture an image. I'll capture this Telerik image. Copy that. Let's see how good this is. I'll press Enter, Control V, doesn't work. So after all that effort, it doesn't do images. All right, but anyway, that is a Telerik rich text control, and that's what you want. You want the bullets. So ellipses buttons, I always think these are important. A lot of people just like it to say select over ellipses. Who prefers select and who prefers ellipses? Who prefers select, the words? Who prefers just ellipses? Oh, interesting. I'm glad to see that's unanimous. Yes, it does. 3 dots. But I have a lot of customers that want the word browse or open or whatever they want it to do. Okay. I know. And they're painful. They say, but you don't understand my users. Do you hear that a lot? Apparently I don't understand users. All right. So,
Other users are just so smart.
yeah. So, browse and build, you know, that style. What's wrong with this? Well, that's the sorting. All right, we've been through that. Okay, anyway, that's controls. Reports. What's wrong with that? How are we going for time? Let me check. All right, going okay? What's wrong with that? Bad dithering, yeah. Forget that.
You've got to look up and down to see what's going on.
Got to look. Yeah, you got to map that to that. That's a problem. That's the first problem. Second problem. Pies suck, and I'm surprised that you would not know that. So pies, there's no place in the world for pie graphs. Okay, it's better to use, you know, charts to see stuff.
Well, is that better than the first one?
No, this is not a good example. That's a bad example. This is another bad example.
Depends what you represent.
I will tell you. What, with 2 values? With 3 values? With 4?
Actually, you know, reporting services has a pie that explodes to another one. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That's not
Bizarre. Bizarre.
No.
The index should be up.
Okay, there's a couple of things you should never do. Never use 3D and never use pies. 3Ds are just confusing. It's not easy to see. And pies are better represented with, you know, the graph, so you can see the big one at the top, it gets smaller, etc. You show me. Well, I'm sure if I was.
Pie works well enough. Half a pizza, quarter pizza, a slice.
I'm sure other people agree with me. Oh, I don't know. All right, there you go. Watch that. You know, there's this. They've shown this evidence about people always finding stuff that supports their belief. So they start searching, Windows 7. And then they search Windows 7 is bad. They start doing all this until they find.
Search for pie charts are great.
Yeah, actually, let's have a Google off.
55 million.
All right, so and pie charts suck.
Yeah, all right. Let's do this. Let's just 39 million, and let's do bad.
Oh, you lose.
Okay, Edward Tufte. This guy is he knows everything. Pie charts are bad, and the only thing worse than one pie chart is lost them. There you go. And you love Tufte, Coatsy. There you go. So we.
Now that's okay if you can manipulate them. If you can actually move them about on the, but obviously you can't with that. But actually it should be, the interface should be, you can manipulate and look at the different pie charts.
Right, okay. Now, to me, that's a lot clearer to read those things. Bar charts are the way to go. Pie charts 3D should be banned forever. Anyway, this is another thing I don't like when you put a lot of lines on one graph to try to work it out. It's just simpler because you've got to do this mapping of what's what. It's simpler just to break it up, so you see just a few and just a few. And you always just try to, rather than try to say sales and units, just show units on one and sales on the other. Anyway.
Different coloured lines would have worked better.
All right, so I'll tell you about different coloured lines. It's generally seen as, rather than use green for good, red for bad, that type of stuff, and all these colours in between, just use red for really bad lines and orange or a slide orange when it's warning, and everything else is black. So as an example, New York, because it's going bad, that one could be red. This Bern could be red, and this Tokyo, it could be a warning orange, but everything else should be black. You don't use green for good. Because most people want to look at something and start seeing warning signals or what's bad.
That, and some people read green colour lines sometimes. Seriously, that's a...
You don't use green and blue.
Red green is a huge percentage.
So it might be Tufte. Black, red, warning. I will just try images, see if I can get one quickly. That's not going to do it. Black, red. Data. Reports. Give me one more chance. That might. I'll just try that, and I'll just get rid of him. All right, I give up. I wanted to show you something very compelling, but I'm not going to be able to. But yeah, trust me. Try not to use green on your reports and only use red for exceptions and orange for not exceptions. Okay, and actually it might even be on that URL. where I refer to that. Okay, web UI. Let's talk about that. Banana rule. Who knows what the banana rule is? One. Did you find that on our site? What's the banana rule?
Oh, we talked about it one day.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. So basically the banana rule is that you treat users like monkeys. If you can show a banana, they will work out what's involved to get to it. So the best example of a banana rule that I can give you is teamviewer.com. When I come to this site, what do I click? Okay, very clear. So, Qantas, where is the banana here? Yeah, but we're already on flights.
It's the little white background go icon.
Yeah, that's the banana. Not a very good banana because people will click that accidentally instead of go. Okay? So that's the only thing Qantas have ever done wrong, in my opinion. Okay. All right. So where is the banana here? No banana. And this is pretty common and it's pretty bad. Where is banana now? Free download. That's what we want them to do, or they can purchase. Okay? Where's the banana now? Yeah. So now there's 2 bananas. Okay? So you can have 2 bananas. It's generally better to have 1. Okay?
Aren't they sort of like a benefits button? Like, what is the user wants? Ah, there it is. That's going to benefit me.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's telling them what do you want most of the users to do next. It's the default button. Yeah, it's call to action. Yeah, it's great, great, yes. I should call it the call to action instead of banana. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay. So, how do you know where you are on a site? Breadcrumbs. All right, breadcrumbs. I'm surprised that I come across lots of, even in our internal Time Pro app, I had to have a bit of a war in there to get my breadcrumbs. You don't need breadcrumbs on our side. Oh, this reason, not enough hierarchies. Oh my God. Okay.
With search engines, you absolutely need breadcrumbs everywhere.
Because
the search engine will throw you right through.
Yeah, every page is a home page. That's the reason. Now, what else do you not do with a breadcrumb? Never link to yourself. If I'm on this page, rules to better Vista deployment, which I don't know why I would be, but if I was, you don't link this link. If I'm on the home page, don't link the home link. It's very annoying because my mum will click it and she'll wonder, why did I come back to the same place? So that is that. Correct way to do a hyperlink, just I think every hyperlink should be underlined or dotted line, and apparently I'm not fashionable.
What people are saying, can I click that?
What people are saying?
You shouldn't use underlining for anything.
Yeah, that's pretty... I don't know, I hope not. It's a good point. I'll be looking out for that.
It is.
So...
91.
What?
Underlining is a hyperlink.
Yes. Don't hyperlink in a Word document if it's not a hyperlink. Stop it. Very bad.
That's what makes web pages web pages.
Yes. Underlines are finished.
Underlines anymore. Yeah, it did. It stops the bold metallic.
Now, a lot of designers don't like underlines for some reason. You like to use another colour. Try to compromise. Get a dotted line at least. Okay. I think that there should always be a rollover, and I also believe you should show visited links. To show visited links, it's just this. So you've got to get the A link, A visited, A hover, and it's got to be in that order. Normal links, visited links, and rollover links, rollover effect. If it's not in that order, it's not going to work on all browsers. Okay? I don't know about this one. So can I just check? Anybody disagree with that? Hunter?
Depends on a corporate application. You don't want to see where you've been before because you've always been everywhere. So then you get mixes of colours.
Can you hear that?
So on a website, yes, but on an application, I wouldn't.
See, I want to know where I've been. It gives me context.
But you've always been everywhere, so
I haven't always been everywhere. And
I hate visited links being a different colour.
do you?
Absolutely.
Who hates visited links?
I think it's good when you've got a list of links and you've gone to see something, you come back and you can see, oh, where was I was there.
Yeah, good to know.
But I do agree with the corporate side of it, that the stuff I work on, and if you have visited links, it's best.
Really? Yeah, I like
You
them.
know why I don't like visited links? Because if I have a page, there's a bunch of blue links, and then say there's 4 blue links and there's 5 purple links.
Yep.
I go, oh, I've already been there. I don't need to go to that page, even though I probably should. Do you know what I mean?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like,
All right.
I've already visited that page. Why would I want to go there again?
All right. I don't understand. Okay.
It doesn't look nice.
All right. So, who thinks that you should have a different icon if you're going outside the site? Ooh, a few. Who doesn't like that? Nobody. So do it. All right, good. That's just the external. I think there should be some visual indication that I'm going outside. And you've got a couple of choices how to do that. You can do it with CSS or jQuery. Would you prefer to do it with CSS or would you prefer to do it with jQuery? Who'd prefer CSS? Okay. Who'd prefer jQuery? So the good thing with jQuery is you can make it work on every single link without making a single change. Where with jQuery, with CSS, you're going to have to change them all to refer to that class. So there's a lot of changes to happen. So can you understand? To implement this rule today, you can throw in a jQuery function, or you can go back and edit every single hyperlink. So wouldn't it be better to always do jQuery? In that situation, that's every situation, isn't it? So, yeah, so CSS is not the way to go for this, but I want you to be aware of something. What's the downside of using jQuery? It does work everywhere. jQuery works everywhere. jQuery is the only thing that Microsoft, Apple, and Google have agreed upon. So,
the user can turn it off.
User can turn off JavaScript. Yeah, that's right. They can turn off the internet too, but it's not very common. Have you ever come across users who have turned off JavaScript?
So with the, you can't use CSS to that effect. Can you just do it on the HTML?
You can, but you need to have a class there. So, here I just want you to be aware of, in case you all just jump into jQuery, CSS is manual, jQuery is automatic. If you've got a content-heavy website with large archives, I've never measured this. I just had Cornelia tell me this, and Cornelia knows more about performance than I'll ever know. And he said that he wouldn't use jQuery because it's slow if you've got a lot of links on a page. I need to one day sit down and measure this with a coded UI test or something to see if there's any measurable.
Because it's evaluating it at runtime.
I understand it's slow. I just want to know if it's measurably slower. You know, I just have trouble believing it. But anyway, he does know more about it than me, so take that caveat. All right, linking in a new window. We've kind of done that. One of the things I really care about is trying to save them from clicking through. I really think that's important. Always be looking so you're not clicking through. When you hover over Peter and you want to know more about Peter, is he got this qualification, or is he a SharePoint guy or a Silverlight guy? Don't let them click through to get it. As they hover over Peter, give them a balloon, like that. So as you hover over each one, give them a new balloon so they won't click through, because you want them to be on this page to book. Give them what they need to know. All right, tell them which fields are required, pretty obvious. I don't know how many pages I go on where the required things sit there even when I've entered something. I hate that. I hate it. I do not want to see red when I've filled it all in. It's bloody annoying. I can't believe people are okay with that. All right, what's wrong with this? These are messages. I would tell you a better way of doing this is to put their icons. Okay, and you never use a question mark, always use the style. Okay, consistent results. I think results should have a statement. They should have page navigation in the center, number of results, and the filters. So I like this. I like my results in the center. I like my text box with the fields, the text I've just entered. So just look here. There's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. That's the faceted search. Okay, so be aware to always do it like that. Lots of people put the numbers over on the left. I don't know why they do that. Always give more information under did not find anything. What do you do when they enter, I don't know, ball or something and you don't find any results?
But there's a story behind it. That's the room at CERN for lost files. 404.
That's what?
The room at CERN. Berners-Lee went to CERN.
I know, but is that really?
That's the room for the lost files, 404.
Is that a wives' tale?
It was involved in 93.
Come on, Coatsy, tell me that's wrong.
Google it.
All right, I will. I'm sure Coatsy's back there with Bing. And let's see if he can find anything. So, what should you do other than say your search didn't find anything? Offer suggestions. So it's important. This, believe it or not, is Amazon when I searched Adam Cogan and didn't find anything. It shows, you wouldn't know that this really didn't find anything, would you? You wouldn't know.
Recommendation is Twilight.
What?
Breaking Dawn is twice.
Liberty and tyranny. It knows me too well. Okay. Yeah, so I think they always offer the closest things. And the easiest way to do that is with Lucene. Okay? Just, or if you can't find anything, just show them the most common products. Okay, broken links, inexcusable, get link auditor from an awesome company. Okay, do you know the couple of things to make a consistent look and feel? Master pages and CSS, use them, and lots more links about that stuff. That's the end of websites, and I'll just do the last few things, which is in mobile interfaces. Mobile seems different. Mobile seems you get one shot at this. You can't just put out a version and just incrementally improve it. The first version must be, pretty bloody good. It doesn't seem like that market is as forgivable. So you can put out something that has a beautiful Porsche UI and a VW engine, or you can put out a VW engine and a VW UI and a Porsche engine. So I will tell you when you're doing mobile stuff, I would probably go with the Porsche UI if I had a choice. Of course you want both, but I'd go with the Porsche UI and I'd make sure that's number 1. Okay, now when do you build iPhone apps and when do you build iPhone web apps? So I will tell you, depending on budget, but the easiest way to do it is basically just go with an iPhone web app. Okay, it's just changing some CSS. It's a lot easier. Okay, so it's never going to work, obviously, if they don't have a connection, but that's the way we've been going with most of our clients, just with a web app. When do you tell a customer to build a Windows Phone app instead of an iPhone app? So it's not never, but it's not a lot. So at this point in time, in my opinion, if we've already done them as Silverlight app, it's going to be much lower time to market, lower dollars. You get to reuse all your MVVM. You get to reuse your Silverlight controls. You reuse your business layer and your data layer. So if it's for a corporate situation, it's going to be, in many cases, substantially cheaper to build a Windows Phone app and give them Windows Phone devices. But typically, if it's for consumers, that's not going to matter. Well, I loved your feedback on this one, Coatsy. But the best thing going for Windows Phone 7.5 today is probably the excitement around Windows 8. That you have an existing skill set with .NET dev shops like us. And the environment is many more times productive than Xcode. And you can ask, we've got a couple of guys doing this. And Damien will tell you all about the pain with Xcode versus Silverlight. Be aware, Windows Phone 7 is built on Silverlight 3, 7.5 is built on Silverlight 4. There's just a couple of things to be aware. You never use system.windows.browser, okay? That's pretty much the biggest caveat. Yes? Okay. Other things are the App Store is not going to put through a business app. The Marketplace will, because it'll allow you to put through essentially kind of a hidden app. Okay. The other things are the turnaround for app stores is 1 to 3 weeks, our experience, and Marketplace is just a few days. I expect that if this gets more popular, maybe it'll get slower. But I think that the reason.
Or App Store will get quicker in retaliation.
Yeah, well, I think it's hard, Mayman, and I'm not sure the whole backstory here, but I believe because apps for the App Store are written in Objective-C, the review process, there's more steps to look at. Where, since you're talking about managed code, I think there's less to look at. I'd love to be corrected if that's wrong, Coatsy, but there seems to be another thing. The App Store is also more aggressive in blocking apps. And here are the guidelines to follow if you want to do Windows Phone 7.5. And if you're writing your own user controls and you haven't looked at Silverlight.Codeplex, you're probably doing something wrong.
Or have a look at Teleworks. Teleworks controls are awesome. You can download in fact, if you download the Teleworks sample app on your phone, which is free app, demonstrates all the Teleworks controls. It's awesome.
Okay.
Really nice.
Thank you, Casey.
And the other Windows Phone one is Office integration. Is magic on the Windows Phone.
Yes, but Office integration is coming with the iPhone now, correct? That was I believe that's been announced that.
OneNote.
Not just OneNote. I think, or maybe it's just rumours, but I believe that all the apps are coming to the iPhone and the iPad.
Wow.
Yeah. Has that been announced, or is that just rumour mill?
I don't see why it shouldn't. It'll have to go through the Apple.
Yeah, but obviously Microsoft haven't done it for a long time, and that's not guaranteed. But and I don't know. I have no knowledge about this apart from stuff I read on rumour sites, and I think it's likely. I think I read it on ZDNet. Anyway, I want to ask you some controversial thing to finish up. What is wrong with this app? Apart from everything, give me something specific. What does it do? You've never used Media Player? It plays movies.
Collection functionality is horrible.
Yep.
It's just hard to get to anywhere.
I'm going to bring it back to something even more simpler. When I press play, which is play and which is pause, and when my speakers aren't working, I don't know which ones, is it on. Now, obviously, I can use some other cues to work it out, but I never believe that this should be one button. I don't think buttons should change. One should be play and pause should be right next to it. When I press one, it becomes disabled, the other one becomes enabled. That's kind of how these things should work. I find trying to concatenate buttons.
There are lots of buttons that are a play pause button which are top.
Sorry?
There are lots of buttons which are a play in the real world.
Yes.
It's a play pause button on most things.
Yeah.
DVD player's got a play pause button. I haven't got a play button and a pause button.
So why
Yeah,
should it stop?
but most of those buttons you push down and they're on, and then you push them again, they come back.
Play, you click it again and it pauses.
On what?
Plenty of CD players on DVD players.
It's a standard on a DVD.
Right.
And what I reckon they should have, they should change the icon so it's a play/pause icon.
James, what?
Cassette players.
Yes?
Press play, you press again to pause it, and the stop button is a separate button altogether.
That's right.
Big
That's probably where it came from.
So it's
But when you pressed play, it stayed down, didn't it?
Yes.
And then you press stop and it would come back up.
Yes, yeah. But you can press again to pause, and I think it actually rebound.
No, the pause was always next to the play.
Yeah. And it would stay down when it was paused.
Stay down, the pause would be next to it and it would actually stop.
You're right, yeah.
This is very unintuitive. And forget about this. In general, I don't think buttons, you should click one and then it changes to another label to do something else. I just am pretty much against that most of the time. All right. So I'm just going to run around. I'm just curious. Let's finish up with a retro. Can I just ask a couple of people, what was the best tip you got tonight out of all those things? And I'd love you to write on your eval forms, but I'd just like you to call out a few. Because we covered lots. James, I'll start with you.
Oh, too many lists.
Too many? Just give me one, the best.
Oh, I just that use of changing use of buttons, or just opening buttons to the new.
The last one you can remember. Okay. Steve-O.
I like to save the click through.
Save?
Save the click through. The actually showing a little tire, like a detailed hover over, instead of just a simple hover.
Oh, so when you, the live pages, when you save them from clicking through because as you hover you show more information. Yeah, I think that's really important. I do that all the time. Coatsy? Don't have one, all right. Big fella?
Without a doubt, the number one best thing I saw today was the drop-down box for the sort descending, sort.
You like that, inside the combo?
Because there's no other way of doing it in reporting services.
No.
Or say, for example, I'm not saying you can or can't, but say a package that you're trying to customize.
Yes.
Because you only have one control.
Yeah, that's right.
But you can get to the code behind and you can manipulate.
All right. So lots of people hate that, but that's interesting.
I'm not saying I like it from my perspective. I like it because it's making the best of a bad situation.
Right. Tim?
I actually like that, but I think the other one I really liked was the standardised options on the help menu.
Standardised option. Oh, the 8 items on the help menu. Cool.
I think another good one that's come out is this concept that the chum is kind of RIP now, really, and the move to online.
What's RIP?
The demise of the chum file.
Oh, the CHM file, yeah.
And the move to online help. Because not only is that a better user experience, especially the integration to wikis, but again, it's another way that new users can discover your product without having to go ahead and install the website and dig around.
Plus, you can see what the most common problems that people have. Yeah. Any others, guys? No pop-up. So you like the light switches? Yep. The SharePoint example when they didn't use them?
Yeah, but also like use it for doing confirmation.
Oh, so that it is okay to use it sometimes. Yeah. They're always an exception to everything. Any others, guys?
I love the drop down with the numbers.
The drop down with the numbers. Oh, in the combo with the brackets. Yeah, I always do that. First thing every client says is, oh, that's going to be a real performance hit. Account star in SQL is nothing. It's not an expense. So yeah, you can read Kimberly Tripp's blog all about that. There's no cost. Lucene, yeah. Yep. Do yourself a favour, use Lucene. All right. Gamification, yeah. That is going to be, I am certain we will spend more time discussing gamification in the next 12 months. It's the key. Look at Pluralsight. Pluralsight are an interesting company. They were just doing videos. Sorry, they were just doing going to companies on-premise training. They switched to just being videos on demand. Now they need to go to the next level, and they need corporates to buy it, and they need corporates to make sure that if they're paying for it, the users are using it. They need them to get points and compete. They need, every time you watch a video, the more you watch it, you'll get points. You answer some questions, you'll get points. You do the exam, you get points. They don't do any of that now, but you start watching all that functionality come alive, and you watch companies like that put a lot of stuff in gamification, because that's the future of upselling to existing customers.
Popups have already started.
Have they? With what?
Years ago. Going through and get so many points for doing various little tutorials of just-in-times.
Right. Okay, cool.
It's 3 years old.
There was a really good TED conference about it actually. They talked about that social media has already been done, and the next big thing is going to be gamification.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's a big buzzword.
Yeah, it is. It'll die. It'll get big and then it'll come down because every site will potentially have it. You know,
Well, there's so much quality is what we're talking about.
yeah, heaps. Yeah,
Oh, no, I don't know.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll do it one night. Okay, so in summary, comfort of learning, encourage experimentation, reversible actions, previewed actions, avoid dialogues, and remember their preferences. Lots of stuff. This all came from my rules. Go and have a look. Send me corrections if you find any. Here's a few books. Steve Krug, Mind Hacks, and Design Everyday Things. So even more tips than those. So that's my summary. Hopefully we covered heaps. It was a long night. Thank you for coming. It's great. If you want, you can join over at the Oaks. Otherwise, we will see you back in January. Before you go, I've got a task for you. Go to tv.ssw.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You'll be informed of all upcoming videos. In addition, if you're super keen, I'm all about inspecting and adapting. So send me an email or send me a tweet @Adam Cogan. Cheers.